Hello fellow Bang Dreamers, welcome back to the channel. It has been such a long time. This is Maverick here, and today we are going to be watching Bang Dream Third Season, Episode 6. So yeah, it has been a very interesting 2 weeks, lately for the Bang Dream franchise. Tons and tons of new information being released, and all because, we are having back-to-back anniversaries. So, a week before, February 28th, actually marks the 5th year anniversary of the entire Bang Dream franchise, whereas, next, I guess in, around 2 weeks' time, we are going to have the 3rd year anniversary of the Bang Dream game, Girls Band Party, or otherwise known as Garupa. So, tons and tons of information being set up. I was actually really bummed last week when I wasn't able to make a video on Bang Dream, since I couldn't, wait for it, I couldn't be patient for it, and I decided to watch it already and do my videos on it. But if it had been, instead I waited patiently and I released it last week, then I would have gotten to see episode 5 with the Pop and Shuffle music video, right as, the Bang Dream franchise was going to enter its 5th year. Or, I'm sorry, was going to conclude 5 years running, right? 5th anniversary. So, for those of you who don't know, on February 28th, back in 2015, was when Aimee, during her solo event, announced that she was going to be following the story of Bang Dream and forming a band and, being the star of this big franchise, right? Now, I know that there's probably a lot of people who only watch the anime, or most probably only play the games, but, I have to say this, right? To me, one of the very, very core and integral parts of the franchise is the fact that it's not just a fictional universe, right? It's the seiyus, the voice actresses, and forming bands and whatnot. So there's this linkage in the fictional universe and the real world. Now, granted, not all the bands have that. We've got Poppin' Party and Roselia and Razor and another one, but I'll talk about that in a little while. But that is actually very important, and that's the reason why I'm such a fanatic for the franchise as a whole. I loved K-On! I was never this fanatical about it. I loved Show by Rock. I played the game as well, but I was never that fanatical about the franchise as well. But here, there's something to be said about having them. The moment I heard about this project, I was instantly hooked by it, right? And watching them, seeing them actually play the music themselves, play the music live, that's just something that I care for, actually, as a musician, and just as a general lover of music and anime, right? So to me, that is always an integral part of this franchise, and it can never be separated from what the franchise is all about. Now, with that said, this actually marks a nice segue into some very exciting news, actually. So, first of all, since this season of Bang Dream is, I guess you could say a lot of the time is focused on Razor Suilin, its formation and whatnot, I'm sure that there are a lot of Razor Suilin fans watching the anime, and you'll be pleased to know that the Razor Suilin band will be finally added into the Garupa game, the Bang Dream game. I believe they said this coming, this summer, right? So after the 3rd season concludes, and then so we learn all about the story of Razor Suilin already, and then they will be integrated into the game. However, and honestly, this came completely out of nowhere. Bushiroad, which is the producer of Bang Dream, they also announced, I believe last week, that we were going, or was it 2 weeks ago, that we were going to have an entirely new band, right, by the name of Morphonica. And this one, we're probably not going to be seeing any mention of it in this season, unless they want to do an Easter egg or something. It's actually, the vocalist for this new band is actually part of the main storyline of the 2nd season of the mobile game story, and lo and behold, they decided to instantly put out even another band, right? So this would mark the 7th major band that this franchise has brung out, and as I was saying before, the importance of the connection between the real and fictional. Morphonica is also going to have the seiyus form a real band and play. And in fact, they've already got some pretty top talent in there as well. One who is, they use a lot of relatively new seiyus as well, newcomers and whatnot. But I guess one of the biggest names of this new group is the musician Ayasa, who also is very popular on YouTube as well. She's a violinist, and well, funny fact, even though I have like a guitar and a bass behind me right now, the instrument that I learned the longest is actually the violin. And so, having that is obviously something that I hold dear to my heart. Although, I don't think I will be switching from Poppin' Party as my main Oshi, my main stan anytime soon, right? They do hold a very special place in my heart. But still, more bands the merrier, right? Now, granted, there's probably going to be a lot of stuff in regards to screen time and whatnot, and story time, allocation of resources, so on and so forth. But I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. At the very least, we should, at least right now, celebrate the fact that these are a lot of exciting stuff coming out to the franchise. It's definitely come a long way. I could honestly talk hours and hours about how I feel about the franchise, how it initially started and whatnot. But anyways, I feel like I rambled a little bit too long already. Think of it as a sort of compensation for missing out on the anniversary on my channel last week. So, what? In any case, yeah, I'll put some of the other links and information and whatnot in the description below, so you guys can check that out. And most especially the new band, which has very little information about it, because I guess you could say that it's unfair in a sort of way that they were even added into the game before Race of Suilin was. But the thing is, Race of Suilin are already, in a way, established, right? They've already been introduced. They've already been doing lots and lots of real world events as well. They've been doing concerts, live performances, etc., etc. So, I mean, in a way that they are already a part of the franchise. It's not like they are the new kids on the block anymore, right? There's a newer kid on the block now. But yeah, anyways, lots of exciting stuff, lots of interesting stuff, and so let's get back to the main business at hand, and that is the anime. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. And I do apologize that I talked a little bit too long. By the way, they already did that whole Future World Fest thing in the game, but yay! Inisha. Emotion. Still love the song. And just on the subject of the real bands again, I feel like now Bushiroad has a good grasp of the best sort of mixed in order to actually push these bands. So you need to have a good balance of newcomers, seiyus as well, voice actresses, because that is part of the appeal, right? Is voice actresses playing these characters and also playing in a band as well. That said, there is something to be said about putting some more musicians with more professional aptitude within them, right? So in Poppin' Party's case, you could argue that the voice actor of Sai, even though she never had electric guitar experience, she was already a guitarist, so she had that sort of a foundation for music. In Roselia, in this case, after they changed their keyboard player, their voice actress for Rinko, Yuki, I think, she also has a background in music. And Razor Swillen, of course, the guitarist, the drummer, the vocalist were all musicians before. In this new band, Morphonica's case, the drummer is actually the drum instructor for Bang Dream, so sort of like a coach in a sense. And the of course the violinist is already an established musician. Of course you gotta go. It's a pretty Mage of Darkness. Yay. Yeah. This is it. Nice little Michael Jackson reference there. I mean, I gotta yeah. That is a good point. I mean, it's not like she has any jurisdiction over the tournament, but I feel like if people do want to, challenge them, it's not out of fear that they don't join in. Although, of course, that's the way that Chuchu is going about it. But I feel like people would also be, how can I say it? Kukiyome is the Japanese word of it. Reading the mood, reading the situation, right? I mean, it's clear that they want to deal with each other. You shouldn't just, barge in. Oh, Firebird and Neo Aspect. Alright. I wonder which song we're gonna have as a performance for this episode. Okay, Sayo's about to say something. Louder.
なぜ対決の話を引き受けたのですか？フューチャーワールドフェスを差し置いて。湊さんは以前の自分と彼女が似ていると言っていましたね。ええ。さよ、それで見過ごせないということですか？これは本当にロゼリアに必要なのですか？二人とも、とりあえず練習しよう。
Sure has a point.
このままで納得のいく練習ができるとは思えない。同感です。リンに、時間が惜しいので、今日は自宅で自主練します。さよ、ちょっと待ってよ、さよ。今井さんは納得しているんですか？いや、完全には分かってないけどさ、ユキナにも何か考えがあるんだと思うし、本当にほっとけないんじゃないかなって。湊さんは優しすぎます。あれ、さよさん。
I mean, as band leader, Yukina does have the obligation to talk to her band members about this. Although I guess this is probably going to be the plot point for this episode.
でもびっくりしちゃった。オーバーザフューチャーライブで忙しいってお姉ちゃん言ってたから。そのはずだったのだけど。へえ、ユキナちゃんってそういうことするんだね。その優しさにつけ込まれているのよ。やっぱり私が交渉すべきだったわ。じゃあ行っちゃう？え？いらっしゃいませ。おう、いらっしゃいませ。お嬢のまかない。いただきます。おいしい。だろ？それだけで足りるか？卵を乗っけてやろうか。大丈夫。珍しいな、ここ来るの。うん。ちょっと話したくて。
No.
本当に？ここだよ。そうじゃなくて、本当に行くの？アポイントメントは？
Only Hina can do this.
Let it go. Let it go. チューチュー様、休憩しませんか？チューチュー様。これカメラだよね。やっほー、チューチューちゃんいる？おーい。ひなちゃん？ひなひかわ？ひなちゃんが。チューチュー様、パレオか。
Oh yeah, she's a Pastel Palettes fan. So I almost forgot about this entire setting. Hold it together, hold it together.
覚えていてくださって光栄です。ですが、今はパレオと申します。今日髪ひなちゃん色じゃなくて申し訳ありません。いいよ。ウェルカム。ひなひかわ、さよひかわ。チュチュちゃん、すごいところ住んでるんだね。スタジオも見ます？ぜひあなたのギター力を見せて。すみませんが、私たちは遊びに来たのではありません。そうだ、お姉ちゃんが話したいことがあるって。ライブで勝敗をつけて
Fries.
ましてや
Did they gather that on the way here?
ですから今回の対決に意味はありません。意味ならあるじゃない。勝負に勝って私のバンドの方がロゼリアより上だと証明する、そのステージが欲しいの。オーディエンスの数で比較すれば誰の目にも明らかでしょ。ずいぶん勝手な振る舞いをしているという自覚はありますか？はっきり言えば逆恨みです。はあ？ロゼリアを敵視するのは間違いだということです。あなたはあなたのバンドを高めればいいでしょう。私たちにあなた方に構っている時間はありません。あなたに何がわかるの？ユキナはプロデューサーなんていらないって言ったの。それは特にあなたのことだけを言ったのではないと思います。湊さんは。でも断ったじゃない。だから認めさせるの。ロゼリアに勝って私が正しかったって。 メンバーは今もレッスンしてる。こんなところに来てる時間があるならもっと練習した方がいいと思うけど。ひな、帰るわよ。もうポテトは？あ、レイヤちゃん、じゃあね。ありがとうございます。自主練混ぜていただいて。
一人でやるのはいつでもできるし、誰かとやった方がいい。レイも誘ったんだけど、やっぱ来ねえんだよな。
そうなんですか？
一人で集中してやりたいって。
ロゼリアとのライブどう思う？大会の場で純粋にぶつかるならともかく、あんな煽るみたいな。
それだけ気合が入ってるってことだろ。
マスキは賛成なの？
興味はある。あれだけのバンドとやり合ってどこまでいけんのか。お前は？今度のライブ、ロックはどう思ってんだ？
It's like, I just want to play music.
緊張します。ロゼリアさんの凄さはここでも見てましたから、同じステージに立てるなんて。あと、私、この人たちじゃなきゃって、そういうバンドになれたらいいなって思ってて、マスキさんやレイヤさん、チュチュさんとパレオさんにもそう思ってもらえるように頑張りたいです。
お前、まだやれるか？
はい、お願いします。今日は4人なの？遅くなってすみません。委員会が伸びてしまって。さよさん、全然5分前だよ。お疲れ様です。よかった、来ないかと思った。練習だから来ますよ。それにあんな人たちに負けるわけにはいきませんから。
That's kind of funny.
2枚？
宇田川亜子さんとロックさん、お二人が1枚ずつ取り置きされてます。
すみません、一人なんですけど。
Ah, of course Kasumi is gonna come as well.
ロック見に来たの？はい。人すげえな。ねえねえ、シールあそこに貼るみたい。好きな方に貼るんですか？目当ての方だよ。
Oh, so they're all here.
真ん中？いや、ダメだろ。ダメでしょ。やっほー。
And after the war, she did as well.
決まるんだよな。責任重大だよ。
レーザー水蓮です。今日はよろしく。何？
Okay, well that's some deja vu.
あこの右手に刻まれし成功が。なんだ君。
お前、かわいいな。
やば、また意識失ってたわ。
恥ずかしいところを見せたわね。
わざわざ挨拶に来ていただいたのにすみません。先の出番と後の出番、瀬戸り2つもあるからあこは分かんなくなっちゃって、さっきまで確認させてもらってたんだ。瀬戸り2つ？宇田川さん。
おお、半端ねえな。
今井さん、甘いものをホッピングすべきなのでは？あ、そうそう。じゃあさよとつ
Hey, it's the Lisa cookies.
手作りなんですか？
アイシングうまいな。
かわいいです。
どっから出てきた？
入ってきたんですよ。よかったらみんなで食べない？ありがとうございます。
猫かしら？
犬です。猫もありますが、レイヤさんもよかったら。餌付けされてんじゃないわよ。集計結果が出たわ。
Alright, so they're going first.
ロゼリアが先。
こんばんは、ロゼリアです。
Woo!
私たちは今日このライブ
Alright, what are you guys gonna play?
行くわよ。ラウダ。
Louder again? Oh, alright, alright.
が出たわ。ラス圧倒的鳥ですね。
大丈夫か。
はい。レイザー水蓮がロゼリアより上だってことを証明する時が来た。はあ、やらないわよそんなの。そうですよね。
やるぞ。
はい。パレオもエンジン憧れです。
ほら、レイも。
ああ。どうやるの？
どうやるの？
レーザー水蓮でいいのでは？レイザー水蓮。
Alright. They have pretty bad cohesion, I guess. And so, that of course is foreshadowing how this is gonna go. Choo choo! Mm-hmm. Just shoot the bang bang. Oh, I love that shot. That's it. Not quite sure what the flaw they were supposed to show there. Overheat
びっくりしたわ。
すげえ緊張してたからな。
or hyperventilation.
ともあれ、スイート、エクセレント、アンストッパブルなパフォーマンスだったわ。レイヤー、今までで一番最強だったわ。
ありがとう。
そろそろ投票が始まる。どっちもすごかったね。
うん。
ロックちゃん大丈夫かな？
結構無理して練習してたから。
すごかったな、どっちも。
レイの歌熱かった。
みんな残ってくれて Thanks。 投票はしてくれた？ユキナ、今の気持ちは？
Silence.
結果発表。
It's gonna be Roselia. Oh, it is Roselia.
どうよユキナ。これでラスはまた一つ大きな存在意義を証明した。たとえ音を奏でられなくても声が小さいわよ。ラス、ラス。
Even if I can't play it myself. Okay. I mean, Sure, I guess. La 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 la. I mean, at least we got to hear alive. So I do kind of wonder though, with that little foreshadowing at the end there, maybe the focal point is going to be on how Choo Choo or she's the producer, she's not actually the musician on stage, something like that. Hmm. 君と一緒に Say no. Yes, Bandori. Alright, so I will see you guys after this. Okay, so that was an interesting change of pace from what we've seen so far, 5 episodes in. And I guess the end result was not unexpected, though I guess I could also say I'm kind of glad it didn't win with the cliche route of, this cohesion between the members causing them to lose out in the end, right? Because honestly, I feel like it works a little bit better this way. Professionals are professionals. Just because they have some differences or they're not exactly on the same page does not mean that they can't put out a good performance. Not to mention that like I said, the conclusions were foregone anyways, which I'll explain a little bit later. But yeah, anyways, the concept of band battles or duels or whatnot. Obviously, we can see from this episode that the other Roselia members, and perhaps the members of Roselia as well, are not quite such keen on the sort of direct conflict that Choo Choo is actually trying to instigate, right? Generally, when you have these kinds of band battles, there's never any animosity between the bands. I don't think I've ever seen one that was styled in this way. Of course, you have these things aren't exactly new. You always have these sort of no, I don't quite know in the States or in the West if this is popular or not, but in Japan at least, a lot of rock bands would have these so-called these I guess in this way tours, but for each and every tour they would also pick someone to challenge and whatnot, and then they would have this sort of like band duel or band battle, which of course is all in good fun, right? It's nothing serious, it's just a good way to hype things up, and at the end of the day, let everybody hear some good music, and also let the audiences cross pollinate with each other, I guess you could say. And so it's more of the sum of the whole is greater than each separate, right? It's that kind of philosophy that drives people to do these kinds of band battles. Definitely not the case we're seeing here with Choo Choo. Because I mean, think about it. At the end of the day, how exactly do you determine who exactly wins, right? It's completely arbitrary. It basically turns into a popularity contest. Of course, you could argue that there's technical proficiency, there's a level of skill, there's completeness, but at the end of the day, music is a highly subjective thing. So what kind of criteria do you define against it? If you're going by technicality, well, one of the most popular rock bands in our history, the Beatles, their music was never that high on the technicality level, right? So how can you exactly pinpoint it on that? There's just too many different factors to go on. Now, of course, if we were just purely rating on technical level, then I think I can safely say that Exposed Burnout is a much more technically difficult song than Louder. But like I said, you can't use that to compare different bands and whatnot. Otherwise, the most popular bands in the world, the one who would always win the votes, would be those that play prog metal or math rock, right? And honestly, if if we're really talking music here, then I've always held the opinion that Roselia's music isn't even as technically difficult as Poppin' Party's music. So you never really judge music just based on the technical level, right? The difficulty level, right? That's not a good way to look at music. But yeah, so at the end of the day, it turns into a popularity contest, and indeed, that is exactly what happened here, right? So sure, Chichu won, but Razor won, but there is a big asterisk attached to it. It is a popularity contest through and through. What really matters is if you can mobilize your fan base to come to this venue to vote for you. Right, that's all these things are, and considering throughout this entire thing, we see that it's mostly Choo who's doing the organizing and whatnot. We can safely say that they probably rile up their fan base to come to this place a lot more than Roselia did, right? And the reason why I said the conclusion was foregone is because just right from the get-go, you have voting to decide who goes first and who goes second, right? So that in itself, I would wager that very, very few people would change their votes from the initial poll that they had from the very beginning. So that's really more of a moot point. But yeah, I mean, if it's for fun and whatnot, then hey, fine. But at the end of the day, all things, all music ratings and whatnot, they're all just based on popularity and your personal opinion. But yeah, anyways, we do see that this at least drives some conflict for both Razor and Roselia. Razor, we can see them trying to, they don't quite have the member cohesion with each other yet. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't necessarily need to have that in order to have a great band. I mean, we would like for that to be true, but again, using the Beatles as example, they never really got along with each other, particularly in the latter half of their years. But still, they made great music, popular music that is very, very popular, that millions and millions of people love. It worked out for them, right? I think, like I said, being professionals, this cohesion really only matters the longevity of the band that you have, and not necessarily the output. But anyways, since this is more of an anime and it is a feel-good kind of franchise, I'm sure that they're gonna sort it out in the end and whatnot, and strengthen their bonds, I guess. Now, in Roselia's case, however, this is interesting. I wonder if this is actually going to cause him to sort of go into a small slump and then do another introspective of themselves, right? And this would actually be one of the first ones that deals with that is musically oriented, and it's them working as a group, working as one, right? In the past, and again, this is jumping out of the anime stuff here. You have to know the story within the game in order to understand Roselia. A lot of their previous conflicts might come from differing philosophies, different viewpoints, whatnot with each other. But really their entire story is how they gradually, even though their initial get-go, their initial setup and goals and missions and whatnot, and the personalities of them are starkly contrasted with each other. They come together as a whole and into Roselia, right? And so the last time we really had something that where there was this dissonance between the members, I think that was back in the Neo Aspect event story, which was quite a long time ago already. And since then, it's been mostly smooth sailing. And so I think this even marks maybe the first time when they are going to be facing a problem as one, right? So I do want to see how they actually react to that, how they bounce back to that, and how they come back and kick ass in the future, right? Because we definitely know that they are going to be back. So yeah, that's it for this episode. And once again, lots of exciting stuff coming out for the franchise. I'll put a link to at least the Morphonica introductory videos and whatnot, and the song that they released in the description below, and probably link to the official site as well. There's tons and tons of content coming out, so don't miss that. If you haven't played the game yet, or you have no interest in playing the game, then meh, I guess. Well, hopefully the little tidbits of information that I put in my series in regards to all this would be enough for you guys to get acquainted with the things that you are missing out, because I do know that not everybody has the time to go through the entire story and whatnot, especially of all the different bands and so on and so forth. So, but if there's any specific questions you guys would like to ask, do feel free to ask me. Right? So, there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Maybe a bit too much of my talking, but hopefully it will come as good information for you guys as well. So, by the way, I do know that episode 7 has already dropped. It's already on streaming sites. However, I'm not going to be watching episode 7 out of the normal schedule. I've decided, particularly with the last 5 episodes and how we had like a 1-month hiatus between, I'm going to just follow the Japanese broadcasting schedule. So probably every Thursday, I'll be putting out new BanG videos. So I will see you guys next week. Until then, bye bye.